suggested some sort of brand extension.
Ruthless aggression. Allow me to introduce you to the new general manager of Raw, Eric Bischoff.
Who in the green hell are you?
I lie, I cheat, I steal. And at WrestleMania,
I just hear myself say 3 minutes.
well, let me tell you something, brother.
Whoa.
We are back. It's Dits versus Josh. We're back for some Raw and SmackDown-ness. Okay, yeah. We're back. It's Monday. I was not sure of that as soon as I said that. You seen that in my face.
Well, to be fair, you messaged me saying, "Oh, I'm ready to record." I was like, "Well, I didn't respond for 15 minutes," and then got back to you. I was like, "Oh shit, it's Sunday!" Like, I honestly don't know what day it is anymore. Like, it's everything just blurred into one. So,
Yeah, well,
I'll forgive you on that front.
Well, you know, it is what it is. I'm not fussed at all. We were just sitting here for a while anyway while I was setting up. So, we're back though. It's been a couple of weeks. I took my week break, and then of course last week was Money in the Bank. So we don't record on pay-per-view weeks, which we're going to have a little bit of a stretch, a couple of week break again in a few weeks because we got a takeover and then Backlash the week after. So maybe we'll record sometime during the week. I'm not sure, but just everyone heads up. We may be taking it, or at least be taking another week's break soon for the pay-per-view. So there's that. But oh well, that's fine. I was going to say something very important then, but how are you anyway?
I'm good. I'm surviving. The fact that I've only left the house like 6 times in the last 2 months is by the by. I like being in this house. I'm kind of used to it now. When I go out to work, I do worry because I don't think I can adjust.
You've been home for so long. We're in our lockdown's easing right off, so we're allowed to have gatherings again. We're allowed to go out. We're allowed to do things. So.
I don't even know what we're supposed to do because
there's so many different.
Our government is fucking all over the place.
It's the same here because some places in Australia have pubs open and you're allowed to have dining and stuff, and not in South Australia yet, but I feel like that's coming soon. But we're allowed to have like people within our homes. We're allowed to go to other people's houses. A lot of small businesses are opening up again. It's not normal. We're still in step 1 of the easing of restrictions, but it's a 3-step program every month. Another step takes place, but they're pushing everything up. It's not normal, but it's a new normal, I guess, because social distancing and that is still happening. And that's still very much like heavily discussed. But I don't know.
The new fad.
Yeah, it's just what it is for now. Until there's a vaccine, I think this will be normal. Won't it?
Yeah, it's gonna be weird when. It's gonna be bizarre when things start to open again. You're just like, oh, I can actually leave.
And I feel a bit weird about it though.
Public?
I'm like, am I allowed to go near people? I'm not really sure because it would be. I'm a paranoid person by nature, so I'm like, can I do this? Can I not do this? I'm not really sure. I don't want people near me at the best of times. So, we'll see what happens. I'm excited to get back to somewhat normality, though. I'm ready for it.
Yeah, I'm not looking forward to going back to work, though. I'm working from home, so I'm still working. But in between sending emails and working on stuff, I can go, I'll just go have a quick game of FIFA or quickly put Call of Duty on. Yeah, I'm not going to be able to do that in an office without getting, frowned at and people being sad.
Yeah.
Yeah, not for that, really.
Obviously, I've been working away this entire time, but I don't know. I don't know. I'm looking, Dits can see me, we're on video call, and there is like 14 birds just at my back door, and I don't know why. They're just all flying around my door. And I'm like, what the hell? I'm scared of birds. That's my biggest fear. I'm petrified of birds. That is like my nightmare, is getting attacked by a pack of killer birds. like a flock
And
of
they're
them.
at your house.
They're at my back door just like flapping away. I'm like, oh my God. If they get in, I'm going to like have a heart attack. Oh, what the hell? I would rather hold 40 snakes than one bird. I run
Ooh.
away from little tiny birds. I'm scared of them. I don't know why. I always have been. I'm just really scared of birds.
They're unpredictable.
Yeah, they fly. What animal should get out of here? Like they peck and they shit everywhere. It's disgusting. Oh my God, there's so many and they're all just like they're uncontrolled. Like they're not sitting. They're just like, where do we sit? Just get away from my door. Oh, here comes my cat. There we go. Narrative
There
in
you go.
Josh's living room.
The deterrent is here.
Oh, she's making, those weird cat noises they make at birds when they're like, that's what she's doing at the moment. All right, well, I think we're talking about wrestling today, aren't we? Sure. Is that what this is about?
This is a nature podcast.
Yes, nature. David Attenborough, but Josh. Imagine me narrating one of those animal shows. I don't know how well that would go. There would be a lot of swearing. Bird. Anyway, sounds live. Yeah, so Raw and SmackDown. We had Judgment Day a couple of weeks ago.
Yes, we did.
That was a shit time.
Yes, it was. It wasn't great. That's two duds in a row.
Looking back on it, and thinking about when I was watching Raw, I'm like, okay, so I watched Judgment Day. I was thinking, man, that fucking sucked.
Which one was worse though for you, Judgment Day or Backlash?
I don't know. Judgment Day is fresher in my mind, but I feel like I did enjoy Backlash more for that string of really good matches. We had like two or three good matches, and it was like, oh, this is okay. It kind of like the ending sucked, yeah, but Judgment Day had the Hell in a Cell. That's it.
And that's where I had like a bout of like 3 in a row where it went less than 4 minutes or something like that, and then the Hell in a Cell, which went on for like 6 hours, and then Hogan, which is just a big thumbs down anyway.
Yeah, so it just sucked. it just sucked. So I was ready for this Raw. I guess we can go into Raw, by the way. We may as well get started. For anyone that doesn't really keep up with the dates where we're at May 20th, 2002. So we've made a bit of progress. We're getting through some of this stuff now. I just looked at the date and I'm like, whoa, okay. Getting through, we've been like a month and a half of shows, and like I actually feel like it's taken me a minute, but feel like I'm getting into the stories, and I'm like, okay, things are flowing on the show, not just pay-per-view to pay-per-view, but things are flowing within Raw. Of course, we'll talk about SmackDown in a minute, but we're in Memphis, Tennessee. So who's from Memphis? Of course, Jerry Lawler. So get ready for that. But I mean, granted, this is when I liked Jerry Lawler. Well, I guess it was just more so this was the time I was growing up, so it's just familiar. But Jerry Lawler was better, as was Jim Ross back then, to be completely fair. That was the soundtrack to my childhood, I guess, in a weird way. I heard Jerry Lawler and Jim Ross and Lillian Garcia. That was my shit, I guess, but I don't know. It is Memphis, Tennessee, and of course, I don't know how if SmackDown would open up with the same thing, but there's a tribute to Davey Boy Smith.
No.
Because he passed away the day before, so it opens up with a tribute to him, and then it goes into the intro for Raw, lots of pyro, all that shit. And who starts Raw this week? None other than wait. Were you guessing? Go ahead and guess.
Yeah, I mean, it's got to be Ric Flair, isn't it?
No, it's Rob Van Dam.
No way.
Rob Van Dam to a huge... I say this a lot, I feel, on this show, but Rob Van Dam is fucking over as anything. I forgot how cool Rob Van Dam actually was. I used to love RVD.
He's awesome. Yeah,
big fan of RVD. Consistently great. Like, there was never a time where his music didn't hit and he wasn't over. He was the kind of the Invasion is looked at as horrible in WWE, but he was the light in that Invasion angle. he was the one dude from WCW and ECW, with the exception of like Booker and the few bigger names. He was like the over one. He always got cheered when everyone else got booed on the Invasion and stuff. Like he is the success story from the Invasion angle.
Yeah, I'd say so. And he's a good dude as well. I met him I've already mentioned it on the show before, but I met him a couple of years ago at a live event here and had a Jaeger bomb with him, which was pretty cool. Like he's just a good guy.
Was he high? Out of curiosity,
I have no idea. It was like a VIP thing before the show,
right.
And I guess if you're gonna stand there and take pictures with, I don't know how many people there were. It was a decent amount of people. Maybe that's what you needed to get through it. I don't know.
Hey, do you? I'm not judging. If you want to do that, go ahead. He's made a career on it, really. and you know, I can't say I'm a former world champion. Yes, still going. He's in Impact and doing his stuff. And yeah, sometimes I forgot how good he actually is, honestly. But yeah, over is all golly, and he's coming to the ring, and out comes The Undertaker, the new WWE Undisputed Champion. That lad beat that old fart.
Yeah.
But he beats
Which
up
is good
RVD.
for you, because you don't have to see him again.
Absolutely, it's great. He beat up RVD on the ramp as RVD was coming out. He just beat him up. He busted him open too. RVD was bleeding a lot, by the way. How do you feel about blood?
I don't mind it. I don't miss it.
Is it necessary?
I wouldn't say that it's necessary, but I think it can enhance certain feuds. Yeah. You'll see, like, when we get to SmackDown, twice it happened, and I'll get into that. But I think, like, it doesn't need to be like every match, like, because there's so many times on SmackDown since we've been doing this that somebody gets busted open, and I'm like, it's happening too often for it to be like a coincidence. And you know, it's just something that's like, it's obvious that a blade's gone on, but it's just a throwaway match and somebody gets busted open. It's just kind of, well, it's not really needed. But then when you look at something like, I don't know, Cody and Dustin from Double or Nothing last year, obviously the blood was a lot, but it really enhanced that thing and really sold everything. So I think blood has its place and can really do wonders for a feud, do wonders for a match, but it's not necessary, I wouldn't say.
Yeah, I'm the same. I think it can enhance certain things, and it can make a moment, but I think it can also break a moment. Like, it can be like, this is not needed, and if it's overdone, it's not special.
Yeah.
I don't necessarily miss it either. I would welcome it if it was back, but I don't want it all the time. I think WWE have shown we all know that no matter what, there has been certain instances in the last 10 years that WWE have used blood packs or they've used blading. It's pretty adamant. But there also is a silver lining to blood now as opposed to then, is that when people do bleed, it's genuinely real.
Yeah, Samoa Joe did it when he was against Balor a few years back at a TakeOver. Brock, literally any time Brock hits his head off the ring post, he bleeds. It's happened quite a few times. And in fact, actually, Brock busted Randy Orton open with his elbows on purpose, which was still insane to me thinking about it now.
Yeah, it's it is what it is. But RVD was bleeding. It was a bath. He was bleeding. Taker comes out. He's on the microphone. You know, I'm the champion. He killed Hulkamania. I was like, yay. It was great. He says Taker's going to do whatever he wants. He's like, I'm the champion now. I run the show, basically. RVD actually crawled back into the ring, but Taker then kicks him out again, and RVD's just like dead on the floor. He's like bleeding everywhere, and Taker's like, little bitch, basically. And then every time Taker would go to speak, RVD would get back in the ring. Taker would be like, what the fuck, man? Like, what the hell are you doing? So he tried to beat him up, and then RVD actually fought back. Referees pull off RVD. RVD breaks loose, and he attacks Taker again. He ends up hitting a 5-star on Taker, which in this time, I feel like that was a giant rub. Even now, to a certain degree, it's a giant rub. But, like, that didn't happen a lot. Like, if you're not a big, huge name, you weren't beating down The Undertaker. Ever. I feel.
And at least, like, coming back to get him as well. Like, once you're down and out, you're out. But coming back.
He hit a 5-star, and he ended up getting on top of him and and beaten the crap out of the Undertaker. I was like, and the crowd was going ape shit. Like, they were going nuts. So referees end up pulling them apart, and Taker actually is the one that stumbles back. RVD's music plays to end the segment. So take that for what it is.
It's a good opening.
I was super down for it. The crowd was like, everything just felt, I was like, okay, I feel like this is going to be a good Raw. Like, I genuinely felt that. Because it's been a long time. I kind of know the narrative of some of these stories, but we're not superheroes. We don't remember absolutely everything. Like, I don't remember this happening. I never remember this happening. But I'm down for it. I'm super down for it.
I only remember something similar is Jeff Taker. That's
Jeff,
the only thing. I never remember Jeff. Never remember RVD Taker.
Yeah, so anyway, that happened. Then, of course, we go to Ric Flair's office, and he's with Arn Anderson. He's like, fuck you, Stone Cold, you bitch. And he's like, woo, 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 strutting around. But Taker ends up barging in the office, and he says, I want RVD tonight. And Flair says, all right, you want RVD? Fine, you're going to get it, but it's going to be an Undisputed Championship match. Taker kind of reluctantly looks to, he's like, oh, okay, yeah, cool, and kind of walks off. Flair, of course, then turns to Arn Anderson, and he says, I'm going to go to the ring and tell Austin exactly how it is tonight. So we're not done with Austin and Flair. Great. We go to a match. It's the Hardy Boys versus the NWO's Big Show and X-Pac with Booker T. So the match itself is whatever. So we get to the end, and Booker T tries to interfere, but he messes up, and it kind of causes tensions within the NWO. And then someone else tries to come out to help.
Oh, please tell me it's Goldust.
It's Elvis. Elvis comes out, looks up, and it's Goldust in full gear, but in an Elvis costume over the top of his costume. So it's like Elvis wig with gold face paint and glasses, and he tries to interfere and help the NWO, but it ends up turning, like, backfires, and Jeff Hardy rolls up X-Pac for the win. So Big Show and X-Pac are pissed at Booker T because of Elvis. Yeah. All right, so I'm going to talk about this next segment in full detail. Oh. Because you have Creepy Vince, all right?
I do have Creepy Vince.
Now, there is someone on my brand that has equal creepiness that has only come out to play once. Okay, so Trish Stratus is backstage, right? And she's doing the whole, you know when they used to do that thing with the women where they would bend over when they're stretching so you could see down their shirt because we're perverts? Like, you remember that? So she was kind of doing that. And you hear this voice. Hey, Trish. And I'm like, whose voice is that? Whose voice is that? She goes to pick up the championship, and then the hand comes over, and he's like, oh, in comes Paul Heyman. Now, if you remember, at the very beginning of Dits versus Josh, there was a certain segment where Paul Heyman sniffed Lita's underwear. If you remember that.
Yeah, sadly I do.
Okay, so Paul Heyman is talking to Trish. Just talking away. Having a nice little chat, you know. And he's rubbing his chest hair. And I'm like, oh, this is weird. And Trish kind of looks a little uncomfortable, and he says, hey, Trish, last night at Judgment Day, you defeated Stacy Keibler, and you looked like a real woman. Trish is like, what the fuck? Still rubbing his chest hair, by the way. He's getting lower and lower with those fingers, too. It's getting weird. And then he says, when I pinned Jeff Hardy, I look like a real man. Just like, what the fuck? I'm like, this is weird. He said, maybe after I could make you feel like a woman again. Maybe after the show. Trisha's like, she grabs the championship out of his hands, puts it on her shoulder, and says, I have a match to get to. And he said, as she's walking away, he said, that's not a no. ...
Oh.
So then that happened, and it was weird.
So you have Creepy Paul.
I have Creepy Paul Heyman.
That's a thing now.
That is a thing. And I'll just put this in parentheses. That's not it for tonight with Creepy Paul. All right, we go backstage again. We got the NWO and Goldust. So Big Show and X-Pac are yelling at Booker because it's like, your friend cost us the championship. Booker T says that Goldust is not his friend. He said he's just a sucker. Big Show says he's sick of this, and Big Show proclaims himself as the leader of the NWO. He's the leader. X-Pac says no, he's been in the group longer than both of them. He is the leader. Goldust says that if you let him into the NWO, he's the leader. Booker T says that he's the leader and he's going to prove it when he beats the Hardy Boys tonight. And he said he'll even beat the Hardy Boys with this Gold Freak as his tag team partner.
Ooh.
So then we get a women's championship match. We got Trish Stratus taking on Jacqueline for some reason. So they have a nice little match. There's a lot of like wrestling in this match. That's what I noticed from that. I noticed something with watching these is that while the ladies were still getting the derogatory comments from Jerry Lawler and from the crowd and just, you know, puppies and all of that kind of stuff, when they were in the ring, you could tell they really tried to like have a wrestling match. You could see it. They weren't getting a lot of time. I'm not saying they were getting 10-minute matches. This went for about 4 or 5 minutes. And they were wrestling. And especially with someone like Jacqueline, who doesn't probably get enough credit. I don't think. How do you feel about Jackie?
Indifferent, I would say.
I mean,
but she's a Hall of Famer for a reason.
And she's a tough bee. You could tell she put some smack into her shots. I was like, I wouldn't like
she's
to.
She's like a Bianca Belair of that generation.
Yeah, Bianca puts in a lot of. I can tell Bianca has a little muss behind some of her clotheslines and stuff like that. Okay, I don't think I'd like to get into a fight with Jackie. Personally, I think she'd probably beat me up. Even now, I'm not a great fighter. I think she would beat me up. But anyway, so Trish ends up getting the victory, retains the championship after a really bad bulldog, by the way. Like a one-handed Chris Jericho bulldog. You know those. I mean,
that's 2 in a row because she did a really shit one to Stacy Keibler at Judgment Day as well.
Like that, not when you grab like a bulldog where you grab them in a headlock and then you bulldog them. Like she was just like hand bulldog. It was odd. But Trish won. But who comes out to crash the party?
Molly
Heyman.
Oh damn.
Paul Heyman with Brock. So Paul again is touching his chest hair for some reason. I guess that's sexy.
You could have upped it and started rubbing Brock's nipples or something. That would have been.
I don't know why.
Character development.
I can't say that I have a very hairy chest, so I'm not saying that it isn't not. I'm not saying that it's not. Is that sexy? I don't know. I don't do it myself. But do you, Paul? Whatever works. But anyway, he said, Trish, you never said no to my proposition. Paul then says that we can do this 2 ways. You can say yes, and we can have a great time, or you can say no, and you can play rough. And he says he looked at Brock and he said, Brock doesn't like when people say no to Paul Heyman. And he said that if you say no, then Brock Lesnar is going to show you how rough it's going to be. So basically, he's threatened to bash this woman with a large man if she says no. Trish looks at him, though. She's in the ring, he's on the ramp, and she yells, no. So he said, fine. Brock, go show Trish how rough it can be. Brock prances on in, and he's going to beat up Trish Stratus, but who saves the day? Well,
Bubba.
Trish's best friend, Bubba Ray Dudley. And
Boom, got one right.
He gets right in Brock's face. And Heyman actually is the one to back Lesnar away from Bubba Ray Dudley. And now we get to the segment of the night. It's a feature. Now, these opinions do not reflect those of the World Wrestling Entertainment. They reflect those of Tommy Dreamer. Because it's now time for A Day in the Life of Tommy Dreamer, Part 2. This time, Tommy's going to get a haircut.
Oh, nice.
Nice local
Something
barber.
Normal.
And then he says to the barber, hey, did you know if you eat your hair, it makes it grow back quicker? And he decides to eat his hair. And then he says, "Hey, do you mind if I have a drink?" Barber's like, "Yeah, do you want some water?" He's like, "Nah, just the solution you've got over there in your, like the blue shit that they have on barber tables that you put in, like the tonic stuff that you put in your hair." Yeah, he drank that.
Oh, okay.
And then the barber says, "Do you want some hair gel?" He says, "Yeah, great." Puts in a little bit. He's like, "Oh, I need some more." Grabs it and he eats it. And then to end the segment, just the cherry on top, he eats some more hair, but this time it's hair from the floor. I don't fucking know why any of this happened. But I
forgot all this happened.
I certainly didn't look up. I certainly didn't look at my phone for this entire segment. So,
Oh, there's one thing I know Tommy Dreamer does for a fact, and it's the only thing I remember from this whole angle, and it's horrible. But eating hair, what the fuck?
I don't know why it's happening. It doesn't make any sense. But I was
Here's your gimmick.
Yeah.
Enjoy.
I'm super into it. I'm like really into it. I'm very confused by it all. But should we eat our own hair? And I'm talking, by the way, people, for anyone who hasn't watched this segment, you could probably search it up, but he ate it. Like it was on his tongue and he swallowed it and it was feral. And he was like going like this with twirling like a fucking cat. He was like had the whole hairball and he swallowed it. And I was like, yuck. You know when you get hair in your mouth and it's like the worst thing in the world?
Mm-hmm.
I have a full beard. I get hair in my mouth all the time and it's the worst. It's the worst thing ever about having a beard. It's horrible. And I just don't understand.
I've got time for it. It doesn't make any sense, but I've got time for it.
I'm here for it too. I'm definitely here for it too. Definitely. Anyway, moving along, we go backstage to Rob Van Dam and a WWE medical official, and he says, "I don't think you should go back out there. This cut's pretty bad." Harvey says, "Fuck you. I'm going to fight The Undertaker." In those words, of course. Then we got a European Championship match.
Oh, yes.
We got William Regal with Molly Holly. If you remember, they're a thing now. Remember?
Yeah, he was saying that she was...
He respects a lady that can grapple.
Yes, that was it.
So she's with him. Versus Bubba Ray Dudley.
What?
Okay, so Molly in the match grabs Bubba's legs and Bubba ends up chasing Molly Holly. And then he's gonna go get a table to put Molly through it, of course, because that's what you do. And then who comes out? One Brock Lesnar. And this bitch, he hits Bubba hard. Like, he hit him. So Regal obviously ends up getting a DQ due to interference. And Regal ends up knocking Bubba out with the brass knuckles to the back of the head after Brock was done with Bubba.
Ooh. I do love those brass knucks.
So do I. I'm a big William Regal mark, and it just adds it when it's with Molly Holly. So, not mad. All right. Let's get to the in-ring segment with Ric Flair and Arn Anderson. Yay. Flair just talks about Stone Cold, the normal stuff that he's been talking about for ages with Stone Cold. So Austin obviously won, but he didn't pin Flair. Flair wants the record book corrected to say that he wasn't the one who got pinned. Standard bullshit. Austin ends up coming out, and Arn Anderson actually ends up talking, and reminds Austin that Flair has permanent backup, that being Arn Anderson. Flair says that he's made some mistakes, as Vince did, but he said Flair said it's now time to go to Plan B. It's Plan B.
Plan B.
He says that Austin is now property of Raw. He's Ric Flair's property. He says that he's taking Austin out, quote unquote, of matches. And he says, as of tonight, Austin is benched. says, "Go have the night off, Austin. You're benched. You're done. Get out of my arena." So Austin ends up stunning Arn Anderson and Ric Flair. Has a beer and then walks off.
Seems to be reflecting real life a little bit. That
Yeah, it's getting. I'm thinking of the timeline in my brain. I'm like, I couldn't imagine this is too much longer before Austin is actually benched.
Yeah.
But then we get a guest commentator for this next match. It's JR, King, and Raven.
Classic commentator. Classic.
So yeah, Raven kind of calls out King and says that does he even know anything about wrestling anymore? Because all he talks about is titties, basically. Which is honestly fair.
Yeah.
And Raven says that if King knew women, his wife wouldn't have left him. I noted that because I was like, true. So we get a match. The Hardy Boys are back, of course, to fight this time Booker T and Goldust. The NWO end up coming out to ringside. And X-Pac actually ends up hitting Goldust, which allows the Hardys to get the win. So the Hardys have got 2 wins in one night. But Booker kind of low-key seems to stick up for Goldust after this match too. So, again, the friendship is growing. It's growing.
Starting.
It's growing.
Oh.
Which I'm here for. Everyone knows I'm here for. So yeah, we cut from that to go to the pub. We're at the local pub because guess who rocked up? Stone Cold and Deborah. They're here to drink some beers at the bar. And they order a lot of beers.
I bet he drank them all too.
Oh, Deborah and him were like, fuck yeah, let's have the night off. So yeah, they were just at a pub. It was great. So we go back into the ring and the NWO, Booker T and Goldust are there, of course. Oh, they're all arguing about who should be the leader, blah, blah, blah. He said he has no, Big Show threatens to beat up Booker T, and then, they're about to get into the fight, but the NWO's music hits. Guess who's back?
Nash.
Kevin Nash, to a monstrous pop, by the way. People went,
what?
Bizarre. I know, it was weird. I was like, what the hell? Memphis
And yours is live as well.
Yeah, Memphis loved Kevin Nash. They were going bananas. Like, the music hit and everyone was like, what the fuck? And then he walked out and everyone was like, oh shit, it's Nash. And Nash ends up yelling at everybody and he says, I'm the leader. Shut the fuck up. And he said that the NWO has become a joke and it's time to make them dominant again. He said Flair owns Raw, but Nash owns the NWO brand. And they're all too sweet and they're united. So yeah, Nash is
exciting.
Back. But we go back to the local pub because the waitress is now giving Deborah a drink and Austin says, I didn't order that drink. She's like, what? She goes, no, that man over there did. They pan around and who's there? Eddie Guerrero. So Eddie had ordered this. He ordered a beer to Austin's table for Deborah. Steve ends up asking Deborah why Eddie is sending her drinks. And teddy bears, by the way. He sent her a teddy bear. I don't know how he got that into the pub, but okay. And Austin's not happy. Well, you wouldn't be. Another man is ordering your wife drinks. I don't think you'd be very happy. And he's drinking, so can imagine. We go back to ringside, and Raven's still on commentary, by the way. Don't know why. But he continues to insult King, and he ends up getting in the ring and challenges King to a match. Because Memphis. And King just happened to be in his tights, by the way. Was he still wearing his tights to the commentary table at this stage?
I think so.
Okay. Well, King accepts, and he says, you go put your gear on, and we'll have a match. Simple. Memphis love King. So then we go back to the pub, and Deborah ends up convincing Steve Austin to sing. How many drinks in? I don't know. But before he can start singing, Eddie Guerrero jumps up onto the stage and says that he's got this one. And Austin stares Guerrero down. He's looking pretty pissed, but Deborah holds Austin back. And Eddie sings, by the way, and it's not good. Eddie, I don't even know what he's singing, but you can imagine Eddie Guerrero's not the greatest of singers. He's not great. But Austin's pretty pissed. But we go back from the pub to the ring, and we got Raven versus Jerry Lawler. It's nothing. Jerry gets his shit in, and then Raven ends up running away and gets counted out. Memphis are like, fuck yeah.
That's thrilling stuff.
It was riveting. So we're back to the pub, of course. We go back, and Austin's singing when we come back. Deborah's enjoying it, but Eddie Guerrero is not. Austin ends up being like, what the fuck, Eddie? What's your deal? Austin gets in Eddie's face. And then Austin's like, basically like, whatever, dude, I don't care. Turns around, and Eddie ends up breaking a beer bottle over Austin's head, lays him out. And Deborah's like, ah! And everyone's like, oh my God. And Eddie ends up walking off, and he laid out Stone Cold.
When do we get to a point where we have a segment where Stone Cold is singing karaoke at a bar?
Right there. Right there. This Raw, May 20th. Memphis, Tennessee.
The beginning of the end.
Now it's the main event time after that. We got an Undisputed Championship match. Undertaker versus Rob Van Dam. And this place is going ballistic for RVD. And it's a good little match. And they end up getting back and forth. We get to this spot where RVD does a rolling thunder. 1, 2, 3. Referee counts to 3. Taker's foot was on the rope, but the referee didn't see it. Lillian Garcia announces it. Winner and new Undisputed Champion, Rob Van Dam. And the place is like, you remember when Jericho false won the WWF Championship against Triple H, and the place went fucking bananas? That's the only thing I can describe it to. This place is going mental. And even I was like, wait a minute, what happened here? Because I don't remember. And I was like, holy fuck. I was even like, oh my God, he just beat him. And then who ruins the party? Ric Flair. He says, nope, Taker's foot was on the rope. I'm not having an Undisputed Championship match end like that. He got in the ring, and RVD was grabbed Flair and was like, what the fuck, man? And then, boom, Taker hits him. Referee restarts the match. Last ride, Taker wins. Raw goes off the air.
Oh.
That place was going bananas. Like crazy for Rob Van Dam.
I would have been okay with that.
Me too. And it was a good little match. And I liked the way that it happened, to be honest. So I will say something about The Undertaker as United States, as Undisputed Champion, is that it seems like with the Jeff thing, which I won't talk too much about in case people don't know, but I'll talk about this. Is he going to be on this trajectory where he helps younger talent? Because I feel like that was a thing that Taker did.
I'm trying to think how the whole path shapes out.
I mean, we'll see it. I'm sure Raw and SmackDown, you get Taker now as well. But like, I would be more than fine with that.
Yeah,
more than fine. But yeah, good little match, a good Raw. To be completely honest, I enjoyed. For the most part, there's a few little bung segments in there, but other than that, I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it a lot. And just the crowd
sounded like
itself,
a pretty decent one.
Yeah, the crowd was just really into it, which I'm all for. Yeah, that's all I have to say.
That's all I got to say about that. That sounds better than my SmackDown. I'm not trying to like cut or sell my SmackDown short, but I don't know. Like, I mean, we talked about it before we started recording. Like, you seem to have had some new stuff going on, like new feuds developing and all that kind of stuff, whereas mine just seems to be more of the same stuff. Which, of course,
awesome.
I'm going to get into right now.
Yes, it's SmackDown time.
It is SmackDown time, and this week it's hailing from Tupelo, Mississippi.
Oh, Mississippi. Oh, yes.
Mississippi.
MISSI. K-I-S-S-I-N-G.
I use that to spell it in my notes. MISSI-SSI-PPI.
Do you remember when Ralph Wiggum did that in The Simpsons when he was like Mississippi and he was like MISKISSING sitting in a tree? Do you remember that?
No.
Oh my god, Ralph said that in The Simpsons, and it was like the weirdest thing ever, because Ralph is like the stupidest thing in the world. I mean, I am Ralph to a certain degree, but yikes. Anyway.
I'm going back and watching The Simpsons, so I probably will come across that at some point.
Choose you. Oh, that was
Yeah.
Oh, poor. Oh, it was like the sweetest thing ever, and Lisa was like, "Get fucked, Ralph."
And you can see the moment his heart breaks.
I
and
know.
It's like just,
Pause.
pause.
Poor Ralph. Anyway,
bless him.
next week on the Ralph Wiggum cast.
So you'll be surprised to hear that SmackDown started off with a match this week.
Oh,
never happens.
Yeah, that's unlike.
Never happens.
I guess because Raw didn't, so you can.
Yeah. It's Triple H versus Lance Storm. And obviously Triple H is selling the effects of the Hell in a Cell match.
Mm-hmm.
Lance Storm. I mean, we always talk about it, but Lance Storm is awesome in the ring. Like throughout this whole match, like despite I get that Triple H is like selling the Hell in a Cell match and stuff, but like Lance does well in this thing. But he starts before the match even go. He gets on the mic and says Triple H isn't the athlete that he claims to be, so he's going to teach him a lesson that only a true ring technician can do. And to be fair, he's a pretty damn good fucking ring technician. So I wouldn't even argue with that. But there was a bit of back and forth. And going back to the whole blood conversation, Triple H is busted open again.
Nice.
I can't remember at what point it happened, but he's busted open again. So for like the last 3 or 4 weeks, he comes out to the ring with like a bandage or like a plaster or whatever on his head, and every single week he's getting busted open. So either they're just not letting this thing heal, and they're blading on top of a previous blade, or it's just keeps happening by accident. I don't know, but just let the fucking thing heal, for Christ's sake. But Storm is on top for the majority of the match, but then he goes to the top rope, and Triple H pushes the ref into the ropes, which causes... I don't even understand how that really works. When you push like somebody into the ropes, and then they just collapse off the top rope. I get that obviously one foot is on the rope, but they're at the tightest part of that rope. So if there's some kind of like bounce, it wouldn't be enough to knock you off.
I don't know. We watch a sport that we believe in Irish. We believe in Irish whips, Dits. Like
True.
They aren't. Like, there's no way that someone is going to throw you so you run. Like, that's not real. We also believe in a dead man, like a literal. He's dead. So I don't know. If you're talking about logic in wrestling, you're probably not talking to the right person about it, because I don't think there is logic in wrestling. Although I'm not, you know, I mean, I'm not shitting on it, but why are you questioning it? It's just how it is.
I don't know why. I never question it. It's only since we've started doing this show that I seem to be picking up on it, because it happens. More of this stuff happens back then.
Whenever in the timeline of our lives when we finally get to meet one another in person, let's go find a wrestling ring, and you can get up on the top rope, and I'll run against the ropes and see if you fall.
Deal.
Okay, done.
Let's do it, and we'll do a couple of Irish whips.
Yeah, and I'll sandbag.
Just don't move.
I'll just be like, try and make me run, bitch. It's like the catapult move. I think that's the stupidest move in wrestling. You know when they have
the toss,
and they you know, like they got you in like a, how do I describe this for people listening? Like it's like a pre-Walls of Jericho. Yeah, and then they flip you. That you're making someone jump off the ground by just falling. That's not. No, that doesn't. It's not how that's not how the human anatomy. That's not how gravity works. It's not just whoa. I'm gonna spring off my legs. Like that's not how that. Just no.
Like Ziggler goes into orbit when he.
Oh my
sells
god,
that.
Ziggler like fucking flies into the fucking first row, basically. But I don't know. Wrestling, hey, Rhonda said it best, eh? Hey, Rhonda, shout out to you, Rhonda, listening at home.
Yeah, friend of the show.
Yeah, friend of the show.
But knocks, for some reason, knocks Lance Storm off the top rope, hits the pedigree, and picks up the win against Storm. So despite the fact he was wounded from his match at Judgment Day, he still picks up the win, which is nice. Then we go backstage with Christian and Kurt Angle. Now, of course, Kurt Angle had his head shaved bald Judgment Day, which was a fun time had by all. Christian questions whether Kurt Angle, who's like his head isn't showing throughout this thing, it's like neck down, questioning whether he should go out, but Angle says it'll be a courageous move, one that is befitting of a gold medalist. But Christian says, on the plus side, at least nobody will be chanting "you suck" anymore. It'll be "you're bold" instead. And then he fires off like this rendition of "you're bold," and then adds his own little improv take on it. And then Kurt Angle kind of goes, right, let's go do this. And then walks away.
Nice.
And then this bit is really random, but foreshadowing, I guess you could say. We stay backstage, and Stacy goes up to Test, who is checking himself out in a mirror, as you do.
Oh, of course.
She's delivering a message. Vince wants a favor, but Tess doesn't want to do the type of favors that Stacy does to Vince. So she goes, oh, it's not that kind of favor. This is a different kind of favor. The actual favor is to take out Orton tonight in a match. So Stacy thinks that Vince is jealous of Orton's youth, good looks, incredible body, and of course she's getting all dreamy about Orton at this point, you know, kind of like distant staring and all that shit. Test accepts, but he says he's going to take care of Stacy first, grabs her, and smacks on a little kiss. And it's not just a peck, it is a smooch to Stacy. And then just walks away.
Is she into it?
She doesn't fight it. Oh, she kind of goes,
that's
oof.
Choice words.
But will there be comeuppance from Vince? We shall see.
Oh, Vinnie Mac.
Vinnie
Mac.
So we go to the ring. Kurt is due out. His music plays, but no appearance. So everyone's kind of like, what the hell's going on here? The music kicks in again, and after a while, Angle comes out wearing that famous wig that he donned with the like the amateur wrestling kind of head wear on. Yeah, that one. And he comes down to the ring, and he's just like, he says it's a miracle when he won the gold medal, when he had a broken neck. But he said this hair comes a very close second because it's amazing what hair supplements can do these days. He said he's grown this thing out in like the 4 days since Judgment Day. And then he said, I let it grow even more just because I can. Says he's going to go, now that he's gone out and just kind of showed it off, he says he's going to go to the back and try out some new hair mousse that he's bought. But then out comes Maven. Good old Maven, tough enough winner Maven.
We love Maven.
And he says there's no shame being bold. He tells Angle to take off his Elton John rug. And then Angle turns around and goes like, who the hell are you? I have no idea who you are. And then he's kind of just like, oh yeah, you're the guy that won that contract on that MTV show. And challenges Maven to come and remove his supposed wig, which Maven accepts. So he runs down to the ring. Kurt attacks him straight away, but eventually Maven gets the upper hand with one of his signature drop kicks, and he tries to take the wig off, but Kurt hightails it out of the ring. Edge then comes down, so they're still linked, tries to take the wig off, but then Christian makes the save. And you can see where this is going. We have a tag match later on in the evening featuring these 4 superstars. Funny old thing. Player. And we get back from it was one of those like Slurpee cup ad breaks, you know, like the one where RVD is like, yeah. Oh, don't buy the rocks, buy RVDs.
Oh, yes.
Yes, it had that. So we come back from that ad break, and randomly, Stacy Keibler's music is playing, and she's there doing like a sexy dance on the announce table for no reason. It's just happening. I was like, what's going on? There's no build to this. Why the fuck is she here? But she is. Actually, this is kind of explained with this. A banner appears on the bottom of the screen advertising an upcoming women's championship match between Trish and Stacy at a brand new show called Velocity. Oh. But it's not a normal match. It is not a normal match. It is a bra and panties match. So of course she has to seductively dance on the announce table to sell that shit.
Okay, listen. Okay, this is what I don't understand about a bra and panties match. Most of the women already were wearing pretty much that at this time. So why is it humiliating? Yeah.
Like, like, no.
Like, I understand it's degrading and it's horrible, but like they were already basically wearing that. So
another bit of logic.
Yeah, honestly.
And by the way, speaking of advertising stuff, Panasonic had a few plugs throughout the
Panasonic,
night.
hell yeah.
About their camera. Oh yes, that came up a few times. If anyone's listening to this and went back to watch that, like, I'd be interested to hear what you
I
had
watched
to
it. It was
say and
fucking.
think about it.
It was honestly the
It was
way you
bizarre.
described it, and I don't understand how.
I wasn't taking a piss. It's exactly.
It was weird. And Stacey's face was like,
I'm
"What
here.
the actual fuck?"
I'll be waiting for you. Strange.
Weird. It was weird.
So fucking weird.
I can't wait for that Velocity match. I hope you cover it, Dits.
Oh yes, next week I'll be all over that shit. So the actual reason that she is out here, apart from plugging the bra and panties match, she's on commentary for Test versus Orton. And Test spends a lot of the match taunting Orton, mocking him, but then of course at some point Orton hits back. And I don't know how I've never noticed this, because watching that Ruthless Aggression era documentary on the network, I've seen it a lot because I've just watched the Evolution episode. But I never noticed that Randy Orton does kind of like a frog splash crossbody.
You didn't know that?
Like, I always just thought, he's just doing a crossbody. I never really paid much attention. But then this one, he hit there.
Have you ever watched years ago the Randy Orton documentary that came out, the DVD
No.
one? Well, he basically said that Ric Flair was the one who told him to stop doing it.
Really?
Because he said, "Why do you need to do that? You can do just because you can do something doesn't mean you should." So it doesn't make sense for you to do that.
But it makes it a bit different than a standard boring crossbody.
He said it makes no sense. Why do you need to do a crossbody off the top rope? You don't.
Oh,
need
a crossbody in general.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. You basically, I think it was Flair. Was it Flair or Triple H? I think it was Flair. He said
They
you don't need to
grounded
do
Randy
it.
Orton.
They said you don't need to do it. You're 6'4". You don't need to do that.
Eh. Well, I guess it didn't work against him, did it? In the grand scheme of things.
Now he doesn't do anything but a headlock and an RKO. But honestly, I'm here for it, to be completely.
Yeah, same. I'm a big fucking fan of Randy.
But anyway, was he in blue shorts, by the way, at this point?
Oh yeah,
blue
like he
tights,
hasn't changed
yeah.
these shorts since he debuted. Yeah,
Yeah.
the blue shorts, Orton on the back, yellow stripes down the side.
Does the whole wrist
He's rocking that
thing,
shit.
Like, does the okay?
Yeah,
Lame-ass baby face.
generic music is still here.
Oh yep.
It's all going on. So he hits that frog splash crossbody, and then Randy tries at least 4 or 5 different variations of pins and roll up, small packages, inside cradles, all that kind of shit. All hit two counts, but then Test hits a kind of like a crossroads, and gets the win.
Yeah.
And then that's it. Like I figured, because Test was doing a favor for Vince and putting the beating on Orton, that there was going to be some kind of attack at the end, but it was literally, there's the win. Stacey walked off, done. Like, there wasn't even any mention of their kiss or anything like that. It just kind of ended.
Okay.
So I was like, oh, okay. And then we go. Are you watching a TikTok?
I literally did not mean to open it. I'm sorry. I went to click on something else, and it was your TikTok that came up.
Yeah, yeah, baby.
I was like, "Oh my god, that's so loud!" I didn't mean to.
Up.
My
What the
bad.
fuck is
Sorry. I went to open Snapchat, and my TikTok's right underneath. I'm like, "Oh my god, that's gonna make so much noise."
This man will not be happy that you interrupted him. It's Undertaker.
Oh shit.
Because he now can come to SmackDown, even though he was kind of doing that anyway. It's an interview backstage with Kevin Kelly, saying that he's accomplished what he set out to do at Judgment Day by killing Hulkamania. Because, by the way, Hulkamania is set to retire this evening. Hulk Hogan is saying goodbye.
That on Raw. They actually mentioned that on Raw. They were hyping up the fact that Hogan, where there's been rumors that Hogan will retire.
Yes, that is the end of SmackDown segment. So he's referencing that, saying he came to SmackDown pretty much to view his handiwork, to see that all go bye-bye. And by the way, the Undisputed title belt still has the WWF logo at this point. Still haven't changed it. And he's reeling off. Doesn't think anybody's ready to step up and face him in his yard. But then Kevin Kelly questions Taker that RVD should be the undisputed champion right now, and then rolls the footage from Raw, and then we have that whole story playing out. So there's the beatdown at the very start of Raw, and then the actual match, and the foot in the rope, and all that kind of stuff. Undertaker says, well, he doesn't really say anything. He just says it's down to poor officiating, and therefore the match continued, and he won fair and square. Undertaker says that he's only here to see the handiwork. Seeing Hulkamania die, doosh, walks away. Off he pops. And then we go to Rico in the locker room. New tag team champion Rico, by the way. Won the titles unwillingly with Rikishi at Judgment Day. He's enjoying that tag belt. Yeah. Yeah, he's enjoying that tag team belt. He's looking at it, he's admiring it, he's happy. But then Billy and Chuck barge in, and all of a sudden he plays it down. He's just like, oh no, like I don't want this, you know, I can't believe this has happened. He's like, besides, like the belt looks terrible on me. You know, I don't like it. And he says that no matter what it takes, I'm going to make sure that you guys are tag team champions again. Whatever it takes, he's going to do it. And they embrace a little hug. And Billy and Chuck kind of look at each other and go, this fucking guy? Really? And then they pull away and it's all happy smiles again. And then Billy and Chuck leave. And then Rico goes back to admiring his title. So I can see something developing here. Slowly but surely. Then we go and see Jericho walking down the corridor, also the walking wounded, following that Hell in a Cell match. And he's gone to go and see Farouk, of all people, and says that he doesn't want to wrestle tonight or get in any kind of altercation because of his injuries. He reels them all off, and offers Farouk money for protection. And Farouk declines and reveals that Mark Henry is his opponent tonight. So we get Mark Henry versus Chris Jericho later in the show. Hooray. And then we actually have a match. After all these backstage segments, we finally have another match. It's Edge and Maven versus Angle and Christian. Kurt and Christian heel it up for the most part of the match against Maven. They kind of ground him, keep Edge out of the match. But then the ref is distracted at some point, and then Maven hits that popular low blow. Happens every single week here on SmackDown. It always seems to be in a tag match as well. Then Edge gets the hot tag, and then it just becomes a bona fide tornado tag. Like everyone's fucking going at each other, and eventually Edge and Angle spill to the outside, leaving Christian and Maven in the ring. And Maven rolls up Christian for the victory.
Maven, man,
decent match. But bearing in mind, Maven was supposedly doing stuff with Tori the week before Judgment Day, then at Judgment Day, and then nothing this week. He's now involved in this storyline. So
okay.
Is that progress? I don't know. Then we go to another match, back-to-back matches here on SmackDown. It is Devon versus Rikishi. And you'll be happy to know that Devon is finally coming out to it's coming in.
Yes.
It's finally here. He's finally doing it. So he comes out, and it shows the footage from Judgment Day about the attack that they did on Bubba and all that stuff, and then Rikishi winning the titles. And this is something I actually noticed that we definitely don't get anymore. Like, it actually showed that clip verbatim. Like, it was the whole thing. Like, there was no, where it kind of now if it was weird. I was like, oh, they're actually showing the pay-per-view and what happened. I don't understand why they don't do that. Like, especially small clips. It doesn't. If you're literally just showing the Undertaker chokeslamming AJ Styles, why does that have to be up in the air and stop? Oh, and then slam stop.
It's probably you want to watch this, buy it. Sign up for the network, buy the pay-per-view.
Yeah.
That's
silly.
for
one chokeslam. I get it, but they didn't care back in 2002. They just let that shit roll. Devon gets on the mic after Rikishi comes out and says, "What the hell?" And then he corrects himself. He goes, "Heck, what the heck are you doing?" Says you should go to the back and put some clothes on. Rikishi obviously doesn't take kindly to that, and then hits Devon. And the match goes on, but the match is nothing. Everything happens outside of this match and around the match. Rikishi's tag team champion partner, comes out to supposedly support Rikishi. Of course, that's not the case. And then shortly after, Billy and Chuck make an appearance on the stage. They stay up there. They don't come down. And it's essentially 5-on-1 at this point because you got Devon, Deacon, Billy and Chuck, and now Rico and Rikishi on his lonesome. And Batista constantly is distracting the ref. Like he keeps jumping up on the apron, keeps grabbing Rikishi's leg, just keeps doing all kinds of manager shit that they used to do back then. And then that allows, after the 6th or 7th attempt at distracting, Rico comes in the ring, clocks Rikishi in the back of the head with a tag belt. That allows Devon to pick up the victory against Rikishi. And then there's a post-match assault. Rikishi's getting beaten down by Devon and Batista. And then Rico goes in the ring to console Rikishi. He's kind of like hugging him, just I can't believe that's happened. Are you okay? And all that stuff. At the same time, like thumbing up to the stage, like with a big smile on his face, and Billy and Chuck are just like, yeah. Not even thinking that Rikishi will watch this on TV and see that you're being a twat and you've just hit him with a fucking metal belt. But there you go. Then we see, I haven't seen much of Chavo Guerrero on SmackDown, but he is here and he's watching the Eddie segment from Monday Night Raw.
Oh.
He's really into
so
it.
That's why you've seen it. Okay.
Yes. He's like, yes, come on, Eddie, and all this shit. And then Gregory Helms comes in his press attire. And says it's funny that Eddie is being dastardly over on Raw, and the people leaving the notes are seemingly dastardly. Is that a coincidence? And like Chavo's just like, fuck off, it's not Eddie. Like, what are you on about? And says he's all that he cares about is taking the cruiserweight title from the Hurricane tonight, and then he leaves. And the Hurricane's just like, oh, what's that smell? And then he like looks to like a locker and opens it, and of course there's another note, and it's like a clue. It says like the clue is in the locker, and it's like a bag of beef jerky.
I like beef jerky.
That's the clue. No, I'm a fan of beef jerky.
Yeah, it's a little chewy, but I'm into it.
I don't know who it's supposed to be linked to, though.
Beef jerky.
As soon as I saw it, I was like, who eats beef jerky? Whose gimmick has been eating beef jerky? I was like, it doesn't marry up to absolutely anything.
We'll find out.
We will find out. Then we stay backstage with a Triple H interview. Talks about Hell in a Cell and then his match against Lance Storm, but says his focus is going back to that undisputed title. Storm comes up and says that he was lucky, and he distracts Triple H long enough for Test to hit a big boot onto Triple H. So we've got that all. So Lance Storm and Test. I think this could be the. I'm saying that I don't know how long it took for the Un-Americans to be a thing, but they're kind of already in cahoots at this point. So. I don't know how long it takes, but we do have Storm and Test working together at this point. And then we go to another match, cruiserweight title match, because these things just seem to happen every week. There's a cruiserweight title match.
Every week there's a women's championship match. So.
I know, it's bizarre, and that's actually a point. Since we started this show, I don't think there's been one, apart from a swimsuit match, fucking air quotations. I don't think there's been one single women's match on SmackDown at this point.
No, women weren't a thing on SmackDown.
Bearing in mind that women's title can go between shows, which makes it even stranger.
Trish Stratus technically can. Well, she's gonna be on Velocity, I guess.
Oh yeah, in a classic match. So we have Hurricane versus Chavo. It's actually a really good TV match. Some good back and forth. But Hurricane hits an overcast, which is essentially a blockbuster from the top rope for the win. And by the way, Chavo's theme is fucking awesome.
Which one is it?
It's like that, doon, doon, doon,
oh, yes.
doon, doon, doon,
Yes.
doon, and then eventually it goes,
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Oh,
No,
it's
I
great.
vibe
I love
that
that
too.
shit. I like that theme. And that was it. Chokeslam, win. Oh, no, it wasn't Chokeslam. The Overcast, sorry. And that was the win.
Nice.
He didn't hit a Chokeslam, funny enough. He rarely hits that Chokeslam.
No, he doesn't.
We go backstage with Vince and Stacy. However, there is no creepy Vince this week. I'm so sorry, everybody.
Paul took it away this week.
I'm as distraught as you are. He says he's just like the kiss earlier meant nothing, and her dancing on the table. He said he doesn't really care. He said it's okay because nothing can make him unhappy as the Hulk Hogan is retiring tonight. He's got a point. To be fair, this could be the worst SmackDown ever, but if Hulk Hogan was retiring. I'm all for it. Jericho comes in to complain about being put in a match tonight, but Vince says he should view it as an opportunity against the world's strongest man and says a win over him would be fantastic. So then we go to that very match. Henry obviously dominates the match with, Jericho selling all the Judgment Day stuff. Busts Jericho open, so we got 2 bleeds this evening. Throws him around a lot, and eventually the action. Jericho's on the ropes, and I'm trying to think who does this move quite a lot. It's like when they run to the other side of the ring and then back, and then as they're laying on the ropes, they jump on their back, and it's kind of like a reverse Bronco Buster on the ropes.
Oh, like the Jericho used to do that.
Austin used to do it.
Melina, if you remember Melina doing it, I remember Melina doing it.
Yeah, and apparently Mark Henry.
Oh yeah, he used to always do it because he used to do the thing when he would miss and he would go through the middle rope.
Yeah, he didn't miss. He fucking took out Chris Jericho. It looked really fucking painful. And of course that spilled them both to the outside. He pretty much decapitated Chris.
Nice.
Jericho went to grab a chair, but Henry blocks it and throws Jericho back in the ring. Henry picks up the chair and goes in himself, but the referee stops him from doing any damage with it, and the ref takes the chair off him. But whilst the referee is disposing of that chair with his earplugs in, Jericho has found another chair and clocks Mark in the back for the 3 count.
Oh.
A chair shot to the back.
To the back. Nice.
Against the world's strongest man.
Why not?
Big dude for a 3 count. That's the thing. And then we have the thing I've been looking forward to throughout SmackDown, Hulk Hogan's farewell. What a great jolly old time this is. Usual stuff that you can expect. He bangs on about where he was born, his parents, when he got into the business, says he's had a blast over the last 20 years. Then he starts talking about his dad passing away, and that when his dad was in hospital, he only ever showed emotion when wrestling was on. And that his dad, he said, I swear to God, he said, my dad told me to get back into wrestling and go home to WWE. I doubt that conversation ever happened, but there you go. And he starts to thank the fans, appreciates everything they've done for him, especially for believing him in at this stage of his career. And says that he hopes Hulkamania will be immortal and live forever. And the best thing since Dits versus Josh started happened, Jimi Hendrix played. It wasn't that fucking generic, let's throw that over it. Jimi Hendrix fucking Voodoo Child played. It's as if they it's as if they missed it. They went, we've got the entrance and we got the outro, but we don't have the middle. Oh, yeah, it was a great time. Annoyingly, though, Vince's music interrupts it. And I'm usually a big fan of Vince's music, but not at this stage. You fucking interrupt Jimi Hendrix, especially as I've been deprived of it since we started doing this thing. I'm not happy, but there you go. It happened. He comes out to gloat, but he says it's pathetic that Hulk Hogan is announcing his retirement in the rectum of Mississippi and says the whole thing is a stunt. And that there's no chance in hell that he is retiring tonight or ever retiring for that matter. He said you walked out on me 10 years ago, but not this time. You've signed a contract, and if you leave, Vince is going to sue your fucking ass, basically. And then he threw in the only way Hulk Hogan leaves his company is if his body is decomposing in a coffin. Ooh.
Awesome.
And then Vince is going, I created Hulkamania, I own it, and I'm going to rinse Hulkamania of all the money that I possibly can whilst you're still alive. Hulk says, I'm not retiring until I kick your ass, and then proceeds to punch Vince, slam him with his weight belt that he has around him, but then is attacked by The Undertaker. So it doesn't look like that thing's ending anytime soon, which is not good. Hulk then fights back and throws Taker out of the ring. And unfortunately, the shitty generic music is back. And that is what ends the show.
Nice. Ended it fucking hard.
So, yeah, no Hulk Hogan retiring this week. Which I knew anyway, but in the spirit of just pretending that I haven't watched anything else, I would have been incredibly disappointed.
Yeah, that's how I'm watching these shows too. Oh, that's disappointing.
But there you go.
Yeah.
So this is basically kickstarting the very, very, very long storyline of Vince versus Hulk Hogan. Yeah. Which actually does come to a very good conclusion, by the way.
We'll get there, yeah.
But we will get there. But it's a hell of a book.
Yeah, it is. Honestly, it is. Fair is fair. Regardless of personal feelings aside, it is a very good program. Like a very good one.
Yeah, like Brock gets intertwined into it, and then Zach Gowen is in there. Steph gets involved. Mr. America is a thing.
All stuff to look forward to.
Yeah.
Here's something that I have not told Dits yet. Are you ready? I wanted a genuine reaction. Are you ready for something?
Okay.
Next week, we're having opposite week. You're watching Raw next week, and I'm watching SmackDown.
Oh my!
We're gonna swap for 1 week only.
Oh shit!
Just to see,
I like it.
See, because we haven't. Disclaimer, guys. I don't watch SmackDown. I only listen to what.
I don't watch Raw. I don't watch Raw.
So next week,
either.
we're flipping it around. Dits is gonna watch Raw. I'm gonna watch SmackDown, and we're gonna completely talk about it the normal way. We're not gonna be like, fucking SmackDown, fucking Raw. We're gonna watch it. We're gonna review it just like we would, but we're switching around. And I didn't tell Dits for that one reason because I didn't want him to think about it. I wanted his genuine reaction. But I know he'll be here for it.
I'm happy with that.
Yeah. Only for 1 week. We'll go back to our normal stuff the week after. But I wanna see I've been missing on SmackDown for a week. Just for a week.
You just want a win, so you're coming over to the A show.
Hey, don't be like that.
That's what it's all about, really. That's the underlying theme here.
For this week, guys, of course, vote red for Josh, vote blue for for Dits.
Do that.
But then the week after, it'll be different. I'll be blue for 1 week. For 1 week. So
you're gonna have to ship your red mic over to me, and I'm gonna have to ship my blue mic over to you.
That's how. I want to change it up for a week. I want to see if what you've been telling me is really going to live up. Am I going to get creepy Vince? I
hope you get creepy Vince.
Am I going to get creepy Vince? Am I going to get lots of Billy and Chuck and Rico? Am I going to get lots of Devon? I don't know. You might get creepy Paul. I don't know. I don't know what you'll get.
I'm looking forward to that, actually.
1 week.
Even if it's just for... Do they have Across the Nation at this point? They do, don't they?
Oh, yeah.
As the theme.
Absolutely they do.
So, I'm all for that. Even just that. I'll take it. Not Ric Flair or NWO, but I'll take everyone else.
you're going to have to put up with so much Ric Flair.
No Bradshaw, though, this week.
I haven't seen Bradshaw in a bit.
Yeah, that's good.
Hopefully he comes back next week. He's all over the show.
Yeah.
I don't have to see him. And I'm not going to watch Raw next week. I'll miss out on a week of Raw. That's fine by me. But you tell me what happens. So I'll be back to it. But yeah, you get to live out all my storylines, and I get to live out yours.
It's like an invasion angle. This I like it.
But it'll be done better because the actual stars of the show will actually rock up on each other's show.
Yeah, baby.
I'm keen for that though. But yeah, I didn't want to tell you for that reason. I've had it in my brain for a little while. I'm like, I should do that. No,
I like it.
So that we're switching it up next week, but for this week, vote red.
Vote blue. Just do what you always do. Just vote blue.
Just vote red.
It's the norm.
Vote red. Vote red. You got to see Stone Cold get drunk in a bar.
You got to see Kurt's wig. You got to see Kurt's
creepy Paul touching his chest hair. Good luck.
Stacy Keibler doing a seductive dance on the announce table
Stratus,
for no rhyme or reason.
Over and you can see her boobies.
I've run out. I've run out. Maven's eyebrows.
Oh shit! All right, all right. You got me.
I got you.
Yeah, well, anyway, so that's looking forward to next week, guys. Of course, we will be back next week, next Monday. Make sure you both follow us both on Twitter. All the stuff is in the description below. You know where to find us at this point. We don't really need to put each other over, do we? Do we?
No.
We know where to find us at this point. Continue to rate this podcast 5 stars on iTunes or wherever you're listening. Leave a review, like, share, subscribe on YouTube. Don't interact with that Logan bitch on YouTube. He'll take your account. Did you hear about that, Dits?
I did, because he commented on my
he commented,
Money in the Bank thing. I was like, who? I get that all the time. Get these fucking idiots coming on saying,
Great
"Oh,
content.
let's be friends," or like, "I enjoyed the video." Like, I was just like, "There's no way you've." I literally uploaded that 2 seconds ago.
For context, anybody, there's this bot. Some person has created this bot that goes onto random videos and says great content or like want to be friends or something. And if you interact with it in any way, so if you go onto that channel, if you comment back, any kind of interaction at all, it's basically granting them access to your channel. They can see all your videos. They can see all your, like, even if a video is private, they can access anything to your channel, and basically your channel is gone. It can be completely hacked where you can't get it anymore. It takes over any kind of the two-step factoring where you have your phone number linked to your account. It bypasses everything. So don't interact with them at all. They don't want to be your friend. It's a bot, everybody. Someone's just created some kind of super hacking machine. I think YouTube are aware of it now, but yeah, for anyone, I don't know. I just don't interact. If you don't know the person on YouTube, I wouldn't interact with a comment just for now. That's how I would go. But leave a comment. I'll know who you are. Leave a comment and I'll say thank you or whatever I fucking do. But yeah.
Cheers.
Yeah, cheers.
Thanks a bunch.
Thanks for listening. We'll see you next Monday right here on Dits versus Josh. Peace out.